Hello everyone, have you ever heard about the drunk man who walked into a bar? Let's paint a picture here. A man, not just any man, but our protagonist, the drunk man, stumbles into the lively scene. He sways like a ship caught in a storm, each step an adventure. His speech isn't the usual crisp and clear, oh no, it's as though his tongue is dancing to its own beat, slurring and sliding over words as if they were slick with ice. He doesn't go unnoticed. How could he? He's like a one-man show, his outrageous demeanor turning heads. Yet it's not all grimaces and eye rolls. Some patrons watch with amusement, a couple even with a spark of admiration. He orders a drink, a simple task made complicated by his current state, but he manages. Then he turns to his captive audience, his face lighting up with the promise of a good story. He took a long sip from his drink and began, "You know, I've got a theory. I think," he started, "that we're all just characters in a YouTube video." The words slurred out of his mouth like melted butter on a hot skillet. The drunk man, with a twinkle in his eyes, launched into his theory. "Now listen here," he said, leaning over the bar counter. "You see, we all got roles to play here. We're like actors in a big old movie. Only it's a YouTube video, and none of us know we're acting." He pointed at the bartender. "You, my friend, you're the hero of this story. Always there with a fresh pint, ready to save the day when the world is dry. And me," he thumped his chest with pride. "I'm the comic relief, the jester, the clown. I'm here to keep things light and entertaining." He gestured at a couple at the corner table. "And those two, they're the love interest. Always here, always together, always in love. It's like they're stuck on repeat. And the grumpy old man at the end of the bar," he continued, "he's the villain of the piece. Always grumbling, always complaining. But we need him, don't we? A story ain't a story without a bit of conflict." He waved his arms around. "And all of you, you're the supporting cast. You fill up the scene, make it look real. But remember, every character has a purpose. Without you, there's no story." He paused for a moment, a smile playing on his lips. "And you know the best part? The unseen director, the puppet master pulling the strings, is none other than life itself. Unpredictable, chaotic, sometimes even cruel, but always entertaining." He leaned back in his chair, satisfied with his theory. "So, let's play our parts, shall we? Let's give life and YouTube a show worth watching." And as the drunk man finished his theory, he ordered another drink. "Bartender, another round for my fellow actors. Did I ever tell you about the time I became the president?" "Oh, it was a grand time. I walked into the Oval Office, the scent of freshly baked pizza wafting through the air. You see, as president, I had made it a decree. Every Friday was to be Pizza Friday. Hawaiian, margarita, pepperoni, you name it. And the best part, it was all free. Taxpayer dollars finally put to good use, if you ask me. But that's not all. I also introduced a brand new policy. It was the NAP Act of 2024. Every citizen, every day, right at the stroke of 2 in the afternoon, was required to take a 20-minute nap. No exceptions. Why? Because naps are amazing, that's why. And I firmly believe that a well-rested nation is a happy nation. Now, you'd think I'd stop there, but no, I am a man of action after all. I introduced the drunk man's tax. This was a tax on all the sober people for not appreciating the beauty of a good drink. The collected funds, they went directly to subsidizing the price of beer, whiskey, and wine. It was a beautiful time, let me tell you. The international meetings were the best part. I'd walk in, a slice of pizza in one hand, a glass of whiskey in the other, and just lay down the law. There's nothing quite like discussing nuclear disarmament with a mouthful of cheese and pepperoni. And then the aliens came. But they weren't prepared for my secret weapon. Pizza. Yes, you heard it right. I offered them a slice of our finest margarita, and they were so impressed they decided not to invade. Crisis averted, world saved, all thanks to good old pizza. And that's how I saved the world with pizza. Cheers to that. "You know, I once dated a mermaid," he slurred. "Oh yes, the glittering scales, the flowing hair, the enchanting voice. It was all like a fairy tale, except for the part where you're dating a fish. A literal fish. You see, the logistics of dating a mermaid are more complicated than you might think. First off, there were the dinners. No fancy restaurants, no candlelit dinners, just me, floating on a makeshift raft, tossing her sushi. And let me tell you, getting a reservation at the ocean's surface is tougher than it sounds. It's not like you can just call ahead. And then there were the movies. Now you might think it's all romantic, watching the sunset over the ocean. But try watching a film on your phone with the glare of the sun and the incessant splashing. Not to mention, The Little Mermaid was a touchy subject. She never did like the ending. But the biggest challenge? The family gatherings, meeting the parents is nerve-wracking enough, but try doing it while holding your breath. Her dad was a stern old sea bass, always looking at me like I was some kind of fish out of water. And her mom, a sweet old trout, but she had a habit of getting into my business. I mean, how many times can one person ask, "When are you going to grow gills?" And the breakup? Oh, that was a spectacle. She swam circles around me, her voice echoing through the water. "It's not you, it's me. I just need to explore deeper waters." I was heartbroken, of course, but, it's tough to cry underwater. The tears just blend in, so, yeah, dating a mermaid, it's not all it's cracked up to be. Sure, it sounds like a dream, but the reality is a bit more fishy. But alas, she left me for a shark. All right, one last story before I go. So, there I was, meandering in the park late one night, a bit wobbly from the drinks, when I stumbled upon this dog. Not just any dog, mind you. This was the kind of dog that looked like it knew a thing or two about life. Had this wise old man face like he'd seen it all, "Hey, buddy," I slurred, squatting down to his level. "What brings you out here this fine night?" Now I wasn't expecting a response, of course, I was just being friendly, but then the unimaginable happened. The dog replied, "Just pondering about life, mate. You?" he said in a voice that reminded me of an old jazz musician, smooth and deep. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, and pinched myself to make sure I wasn't dreaming. But nope, the dog was still there, looking at me with those wise eyes. "What?" I stammered. You talk?" The dog rolled his eyes as if I'd asked the silliest question. "Of course I do, all dogs do, you humans just never listen." Well, that was a revelation. I decided to make the most of this unexpected encounter. So, I asked the dog about life. And boy did he have wisdom to share. He told me about how humans worry too much about the future, forgetting to live in the present. He spoke about the importance of chasing your own tail once in a while, just for the joy of it. He reminded me that it's okay to take naps in the middle of the day, and that every meal should be treated like it's the best meal ever. He also stressed on the importance of unconditional love and loyalty, about how one should wag their tails and not their tongues. And then, he gave me the most profound advice. When life throws you a bone, make sure you catch it, chew it, bury it, and forget about it. That's how you deal with problems, mate. I sat there in awe of this canine philosopher, absorbing his wisdom. I thanked him, and we parted ways. But not before he gave me one last piece of advice. Oh, and one more thing. Never trust a cat. They're sneaky little things. And that, my friends, is the story of my late-night encounter with a talking dog. A dog who taught me more about life than any human ever did. And that's why I always listen to dogs. They're wise, they're loyal, and they know how to live. And that's why, my friends, I always listen to dogs. But remember, don't trust cats. They're too sneaky. Good night.